Warning, the following video contains spoilers to the Final Fantasy XIV Main Scenario Questline. Do I really need to keep saying this every single video? Patch 2.4 Dreams of Ice. Wondering how the Crystal Braves are doing, Alphinaud sends you to speak to his newly appointed second-in-command, Ilberd. As it turns out, your timing could not be better, as Ilberd informs you he has learned a Garlean spy has infiltrated the Immortal Flames. The two of you agree to appraise Reborn of the current state of affairs, and in the process you learn that the two of them are actually both old childhood friends from their days in Alamigo. The happy reunion does not last long, sadly, as Reborn voices his fears that Telegi's actions could possibly mean he's allying himself with the Garlean Empire. Shortly afterwards, you get called back to the Rising Stones by Alphinaud, whose long attempts at diplomacy with Ishgard have finally borne fruit. Alongside Alphinaud, you have been granted an audience with Sir Aymeric de Borel, the current Knight Commander of the Temple Knights of Ishgard. However, knowing of Ishgard's long-held isolation, Minfilia and Alphinaud suspect that Sir Aymeric may ask for something in return for arranging the meeting. Despite this, Alphinaud remains hopeful, as the Knight Commander has considerable influence in Ishgard, and he hopes that a positive exchange may help convince the Coerthan city-state to rejoin the Eorzean Alliance in the future. With Haurchefant setting aside a room for your fated meeting, it's time to meet yet another one of the frigidly cold Elezen of the North.
Your stare was holding, ripped jeans, skin was showing.
Bitch, please!
My husband introduces himself as the previously mentioned Sir Aymeric de Borel, but he immediately shifts the focus onto you, basically proclaiming himself to be your biggest fan. As Alphinaud makes his case for Ishgard to rejoin the Alliance, Aymeric cuts him off, saying that the Holy See is far too busy with its war against the Dravanians, as well as the fact that they currently don't see the Garleans as a threat. Aymeric does get to the point, however, as he tells you that the High House of Ishgard are growing concerned about the current trade arrangement between Camp Dragonhead and Revenant's Toll. That being said, the Knight Commander can use his influence to make sure this trade continues, but his help does not come free. Recently, several Dravanians have been seen heading towards the wreck of the Garlean airship the Agrius, which was destroyed prior to the events of 1.0 by the Great Worm Midgard-Sormer. Being the most ancient of all the dragons, Midgard fathered many of the first brood of dragons, which actually includes our good buddy Bahamut, as well as a few others that we'll be learning about soon enough. When Gaius von Balsar brought the Agrius over Mordona, Midgard-Sormer came out of the lake and brought the airship down at the cost of his own life. While nobody knows why the dragon decided to attack the airship in the first place, it doesn't change the fact that his lifeless body is still entwined with the wreckage of the Agrius to this very day in the center of Mordona's lake. However, the astrologians of Ishgard have recently been paying very close attention to the stars, and have seen signs that seem to hint that Midgard-Sormer may resurrect back from the dead. With Ishgard being at war with Dragonkind, this obviously does not bode well with them, but Mordona is also beyond their territory and therefore out of their jurisdiction. To this end, Aymeric asks the Scions if they will keep an eye on the Keeper of the Lake, and in return he will make sure the current trade between Camp Dragonhead and Mordona remains uninterrupted. Alphinaud agrees to these terms, but the meeting gets interrupted very abruptly when news that Lady Iceheart herself has attacked yet another caravan of supplies. And I don't think I even need to tell you who has to go clean up this mess, because we've all danced this song and dance before. From your investigations, you learn that the heretics are preparing for a completely different kind of resurrection. In this case, that of the long-dead saint, Shiva. In spite of her saintly status, however, she is considered a heretic by the Holy See for supposedly bedding with dragons. Ironically, this means the heretics also see her as a bit of a kindred spirit, resulting in them using her as somewhat of a figurehead. Alphino notices that many of the caravans that were robbed share one particular thing in common. Can you guess what it is? No, seriously, can you take a guess? Because it's happened already. It's happened several times already. It's starting to get kind of old. Yup, that's right. They were carrying crystals, and Alphino fears that the heretics may be planning to summon a primal to achieve their own ends. After some further investigation, you eventually follow the heretics back to the winding tunnels of Snowcloak, where the Crystal Braves coordinate with the Temple Knights to secure the many entrances to the caverns while you investigate what they believe to be the entrance to Lady Iceheart's lair. And you know what? It's been a minute since we've had an MSQ-related dungeon, so this is a nice change of pace for a little bit. No, I'm not talking about you. Get out of here. This is also one of my personal favorite dungeons of A Realm Reborn. From the beautifully carved ice cavern walls to the strangely desolate cliffside, there's a lot in this dungeon I appreciate. It even has a puppy at the end. Once you put Doggo into his timeout crate, you find the local Aetheryte only to be confronted directly by Lady Iceheart herself. She does not outright attack you, however, instead introducing herself as Ysayle, and stating that she intends to end the Dragonsong War by any means necessary. Then she just teleports away. While you report back to Alphino, Minfilia shows up to state that she and Urianger attempted to research Shiva to no avail. In fact, other than her supposed heresy, there's actually no mention of Shiva in Ishgardian history, which everyone finds kinda sketchy. Although everyone wants to give chase to Ysayle, it also turns out that after leaving from the Aetheryte in Snowcloak, she managed to make it so nobody could follow her through its trail. Before you can properly address the matter, though, Alphino receives word of an emergency meeting between the Eorzean Alliance leaders, so you rush over to Gridania to see what the problem is. Shortly before the events of A Realm Reborn, Solus Zos Galvus died without naming an heir to the throne, as his only son had passed away well before he had. This resulted in a battle of succession between all of the high houses of Garlemald, with any plans of conquest being put on hold until a new leader was sat upon the throne. Kane Senna does not waste any time mincing words, however, as she reveals that the infighting is finally at an end. Now seated upon the Garlean throne sits Varys Zos Galvus, the grandson of the late Solus and former imperial legate known for his military prowess and extreme cunning. Fearful of what Varys' next move may be, the Alliance leaders agree to set aside the current feud over the Cartano Flats, instead funneling their energies towards planning a proper defense against the eventual return of Garlean hostilities. While Alphino is uplifted by their cooperation, he fears it might be futile until the Ivy is captured. Speaking of which, that is a subplot that exists, so let's go check in on Ilberd and see how his investigation is going. Sadly, the news he bears for you is a far shot from being good. He's managed to identify the Ivy as one Flame Marshal Elaine Royal... Whatever. The Flame Marshal acts as the second in command for the Immortal Flames, reporting directly to the Flame General and acting as commander of it whenever he is absent. Ilberd finds it suspicious that she left Ul'dah to attend the meeting despite this role, and hopes to catch her in the act of passing information to the Garleans. The two of you tail her for a bit, eventually meeting up with Ugiri and the Domans when you catch her exchanging information with another stranger. Ilberd arrests the two and begins to transport his prisoners back to Ul'dah while you report to Mordona, just in time to greet the arrival of the Scion's ally from Sharlaea, Moonbreeda. Minfilia explains that while Moonbreeder specializes in aetheryte research, she has also been looking into a means of trapping Ascian souls to keep them from returning to, I don't know, Disney World. I don't know where they go. Everyone has a heartwarming reunion with Moonbreeda while you third wheel it up because as far as you know, she did not exist until this batch occurred. She also flirts with Urianger, which is just awkward for everyone involved. All silliness aside, though, Urianger reminds everyone of the potential primal threat, resulting in Minfilia appraising Moonbreeda of the Shiva situation. This prompts Moonbreeda to go into an explanation of how aetherites work. Put simply, when you teleport, your body disintegrates into ether, and the aetherites act as beacons so that your ether has a focal point to reconstitute at. While it is entirely possible that Ysayle destroyed the aetherite connected to the other end of Snowcloaks, Moonbreeda believes that it is possible to recreate the pathway to the hideout without need of a physical aetherite. To this end, she reveals the fruit of her research, a white auracite, which can gather the ether of several individuals and then channel that ether into one space. It's Moonbreeda's hope that you can use the auracite to repair the now broken link between the aetherite and Snowcloak and Ysayle's lair? Hideout? Heck, maybe she even has a smoothie shack, does some nice banana smoothies, and you know what? Bananas are a very good source of potassium, so there's your banana fact for the video. There you go. Yes, I'm going to keep it going as long as I can. Although there's no guarantee of the plan working, with lack of time and no better options, everyone agrees to give the auracite a try. The Scions then reconvene at the Snowcloak aetherite, where they all channel their ether into the auracite, which Moonbreeda subsequently channels into the aetherite. After making any needed last-minute preparations, you travel to the Ak-Afa amphitheater, where you confront Ysayle to learn that she intends to do more than just summon Shiva. Lady Iceheart intends to use her body as a vessel in order to become Shiva. The resulting primal battle can seem a little intimidating at a glance, but it's not too bad once you figure out how slip and slides work. Once you best her, though, Ysayle chastises you for fighting against her, informing you that you only know the Ishgardian side of the story. She implores you to seek out the Keeper of the Lake, in hopes that you might learn more of the true meaning behind the Dragon Song War. Then she teleports away, back with the most handsome of men. Aymeric thanks you for taking care of Shiva, admitting his doubts that the forces of Ishgard could handle a primal on their own without suffering heavy losses. He also reveals that his previous deal was more for Ishgard's preservation rather than an act of goodwill, as a fortified Revenant's Toll would give Ishgard fewer threats from the south than no settlement in Mordona at all. Despite his manipulation, though, Aymeric does admit that he is beginning to see the benefits of a united Eorzea, and shares some of his reports on the Shiva incident with Alphano so that he can get a better look into the Ishgardian side of things. From here, you report back to base, and everyone's good spirits are darkened by the fact that not only did Ysayle become a primal, but she also retained full control and free will in the form despite the typical rules about primal influence and tempering. This results in Minfilia guessing that Ysayle is also blessed with the power of the Echo MacGuffin, making her question if Ysayle's actions may actually be fueled by visions that have not yet visited the two of you. Meanwhile, shifty boy Teledji Adeledji makes some house calls, implying he has some pretty bad plans in mind for Ralban and Nanamo. Pray return to the Rising Stones, where Moan Brita goes into more detail about her mystic white rock. In addition to absorbing ether, it can also absorb the ether of an Ascian, trapping them within the Aurosite. From there, Moan Brita theorizes it may be possible to disperse the Ascian's ether by channeling ether from another source into the Aurosite, effectively destroying the Ascian. Unfortunately, the Aurosite can only hold any ether for a short period of time, meaning until a means of channeling both the external ether and trapping the Ascian at the same time becomes possible. This remains only a theory. So everybody scatters in order to do their own research on how to slay your Ascian. It's also time for our Patchly update on the island of Val. Apparently the isle is just straight up gone, almost as if it never existed to begin with. For the time being though, Kryle remains unconscious, so a first-hand account of events is unavailable, at least until patch 4.2 or whenever it is Eureka came out. Meanwhile, back in Ul'dah, Ralban voices his frustrations with the Syndicate while Nanamo prepares to reveal her future plans with Kane Senna and Merlvib. And what are those plans? Well, you're just going to have to find out in patch 2.5 now, aren't ya?